Hey everybody, Jeremy here. So a few months back, Click and Grow reached out to me and they asked me if I would like to review their Click and Grow Smart Garden 9. And I said sure. And I made an unboxing video about it and I set it up and I just kind of went over the basics of what this unit is capable of. And if you want to see that video, click the card above my head or check the link down in the description where I go over everything in that video. But the short story is, it's an indoor hydroponic system that is much more easier to operate than most of the ones that you might find on the market, because the only thing that you have to do is fill it up with water. That's it. You don't have to add any nutrients. You don't have to worry about cleaning it. None of that, because it's all self-contained. They sell these pre-seeded pods that are also infused with nutrients, and everything that those plants need to grow and thrive and mature are all inside of those seed pods. So what I wanted to do was wait until all of my plants grew and matured so that I can give you a full comprehensive review about what it's really like to use this unit. And that's what I've been doing over the past 95 days. So before I tell you my overall thoughts about it, check out these clips that I recorded along the way that chronicles the journey of the things that I planted inside of the Click and Grow Smart Garden 9. I planted dwarf sugar peas, I planted mini red tomatoes, and my favorite, strawberries. Day 5 of the Click and Grow. And look at this, we have sprouts. Now over here on the right side, I believe these are the dwarf peas. You see that they have all sprouted right there. Over in the middle are going to be the tomatoes, I believe. We'll see once they get bigger. And there's some sprouts there. Maybe a little bit of action going right there. We'll see. And then these three are definitely the strawberries, and there has been no progress with the strawberries so far. Womp, womp, womp. But everything else seems to be going just fine. Like I said, I think that the ones over here are the peas and the ones over here are the tomatoes, though I'm not 100% sure right now. But as they get older, I'll be able to look at the plants and know exactly what they are. But yeah, it's been less than a week and we already see some growth. So it's been 10 days since the Click and Grow garden was initiated, and take a look at that. The domes are off. These are the dwarf peas and they are coming along very nicely. All three of them have germinated. Over here, these are the mini tomatoes and they're getting closer and closer to the domes, and pretty soon I'm going to have to take those domes off and then thin those plants down so it can just be one per pod. And then for our strawberries, well, not much is going on, but I peeked over in here and I feel, I'm not sure if you can see that, but in this top pod here, I feel like there's a little bit of green poking through. A little bit of green. Now, hopefully that's a sprout and not just mold, but we'll see. But for these other two pods, there's nothing going on that I can see. So let's give the strawberries a little bit more time. Maybe they're just late bloomers, but I really would like for those to grow. But so far, good progress on all except the strawberries. It's day 31 of the Click and Grow garden, and look at the progress that has been made. So as you can see, these dwarf peas are the fastest plants to grow as expected. And at day 31, we are getting some flowers that are starting to pop up. And then we're going to have ourselves some delicious little pea pods that are going to come shortly afterwards. So with these dwarf pea plants, I didn't need to thin those out at all. Just let them grow as they are. Here are the tomatoes. And I did thin those out to one per pod. And then I took some of the other seedlings and I just kind of put them into some soil back here, like these little pots, so they're growing. And then last but not least, here are the strawberries, the slowest growing of the bunch, but they are all coming up. And then these would need to be thinned, but I'm gonna let them just grow a little bit more and then I'll take care of that. So yeah, as we wait for these flowers to just sort of open up and give them a little bit of shake so that they can be pollinized a little bit. So far, everything is going well, and the only thing that I've had to do is just make sure that I top this off with water every now and then when it needs it. But everything else has been absolutely perfect. It's day 43 of the Click and Grow, and these dwarf pea plants have gotten very big and heavy and they're falling over. I tried to support them, but since these bean sprouts are coming in, they are starting to weigh down a bit. Now, it may be a little bit hard to see where the bean sprouts are exactly, but as you can see, there's one bean sprout right there, and there's plenty of other ones all over the plant. Like there's one right there. Let's see, we got another one back there. Another one's down there, and they're pretty much ready to harvest. They are ready to eat at this point. So this one was the first to grow nice and big, and now they have produced some really nice looking peas. And here are the tomato plants, and the flowers are just starting to come in, and once they fully open, we'll be able to give those a bit of a shake, help with the pollination so those tomatoes can start growing. They're growing really fast. And then over here are the strawberries. So everything is coming together very nicely. And then these are the transplanted tomato plants from the Click and Grow. They are not as big as the ones that are inside of it, but they are growing steadily. And then last but not least, this is the largest transplant, and it's also got some flower sprouts getting ready to come out. But yeah, like I said, only thing I've done was add water. I do have to add water a lot more frequently now since these plants are getting bigger and starting to fruit. But yeah, we'll see how these tomatoes turn out once they start to grow. It's been 81 days since the start of this Click and Grow garden, and as I showed in the last video, the dwarf peas are long gone. But here's a look at the tomatoes that have come in. They've gotten nice and big. I believe these are going to be red, so they have not yet ripened. But there's a pretty decent amount of tomatoes on these three plants, and you can see they're pretty much staying under the light with the exception of this one stem here. And then the strawberries, which were worrying me at first, are also starting to come in. You can see those flowers. And there's like the biggest one down at the bottom. Way in the back there, you can see another flower right there, just trying to start coming in. And then here's another flower right here. They do have to be pollinated by hand or just by shaking the plant a little bit. But yeah, the strawberries, slowly but surely, definitely coming in. They're going to be the last to actually mature. But yeah, the only thing that I've done, as I said before, is just continue to fill this with water. Haven't done anything else, and everything has been successful so far. It's pretty good. We're now on day 88 of the Click and Grow garden, and here's a look at some of these tomatoes that are starting to ripen a little bit. Most of them are still green, but they are starting to ripen. I counted about maybe close to 30 tomatoes on all three of these plants. And then as for the strawberries, they are also starting to come in. That one right there, that's the biggest one so far. And then we can see other strawberries like right there starting to come in and starting to grow. I still see some more flowers that are blooming. And this is actually pretty impressive because I've always had a hard time trying to grow strawberries hydroponically. And this has been the easiest experience so far. So there's plenty of little strawberries here and there. And we still got a little bit of new growth, like right there from these stems. So I'm going to continue to keep my eyes on these and can't wait for harvest. I've been keeping my eye on this little strawberry here, and I don't think it's going to get any bigger. I think that this is going to be as large as it's going to get. It's not looking as shiny and bright and nice and vibrant red as it once was. So I'm going to harvest this and give it a try. All right, there it is. Then give this a smell. It smells nice and sweet. Let me give it a shot. Wow, that is nice. That is really good. It's just a shame that it's not bigger than this. I was hoping that they would get at least the size of those tomatoes. But this guy is really small, but it's tasty. This is going to be my last update after nearly 100 days of growing in this click and grow garden. And look at these tomatoes, nice and bright and red. Most of them are about ready to harvest, so I'm going to pick one of them and try it out. And here is the first mini red tomato. It came off pretty easily. Let's give it a taste. This is very juicy and a little bit sweet. It tastes really good. I'm impressed with the taste of this tomato. The strawberry tasted really nicely. I didn't show a taste test of the peas, but those also came out good. But this is super juicy. I mean, just look at it. Fantastic. And I'm glad I got around 30 more of these to try. So now that you've seen all of that, let me tell you what my experience has been with the Click and Grow Smart Garden 9 overall. Now, as you can see here, the tomatoes came out wonderfully. There's around 30 tomatoes currently growing in various stages of maturity across these 3 plants. And throughout the entire growing process, I haven't had any trouble with those tomatoes at all. These leaves did not start to yellow. They did not start to get weird colors on them or start to die prematurely. And the dwarf peas, which are no longer with us because they're long gone, they didn't have any trouble growing either. Those were the fastest growing plants out of the ones that I have in here. But those only bore maybe about 10 seed pods, so the yield was not very much with the dwarf sugar peas, but they did grow very well. And after they gave their first harvest, the plant gave up and it was time for it to go. But the good thing about cleaning this out is it's super duper easy because, as I said before, everything is contained within these containers. You have those seed pods that go into these containers, and for these particular ones there's no way out. There's no holes, no anything, so the plants never get a chance to expand their root system and go into the water reservoir. And because of that, it makes cleanup a breeze, because all you have to do is just take that pod out, open it up, dump the plant, and then you can just rinse it out and put this right back in here. You don't have to worry about getting roots out of the water or really even ever changing the water. And that's one of the things that makes this unit particularly convenient to have, but it's also one of the downsides to it. And I'll get to that in a minute. As for the strawberries here, I was really impressed and shocked that the strawberries actually grew. Now, they aren't big strawberries. They're not going to be like the ones that you find in the grocery store. They're really tiny strawberries, but they are packed with flavor. They are nice and sweet, and I really do enjoy eating them, but I just wish that they were bigger. So maybe these will be something that you can like throw into some yogurt or something to give it a little extra flavor. But these strawberries, just shocking. I've tried to grow strawberries before in some other hydroponic systems. I tried growing them from seeds, and I tried growing them from strawberry root crowns, and those didn't work out. So imagine my surprise when these pre-seeded pods from Click and Grow didn't require anything to be done at all, and then they just started to grow on their own terms. And I also never ran into any issues as far as dying prematurely or even these leaves turning weird colors and everything. Like, everything has just been very, very easy with this unit. So as far as the yield goes, it has produced fruit on all 3 of the plants that I put in here, and these are some of the longest growing plants that they currently sell that you can grow in the Click and Grow garden. And if you want to have a faster yield of things, you can grow things like lettuce or herbs. Those types of things will tend to grow faster. Now, as I said earlier, the advantages of this unit can also be a disadvantage. So, for example, these containers that the pods are inside, they're solid all the way around. So that means as the plants grow, the roots have nothing else to do except to wrap around the pod that they're in. So they're going to become root bound, and it's going to stunt their growth. And that's by design. So that means that they're not going to get terribly tall. Like, as you can see here, we got a little part of this tomato stem that did grow above the light, but the rest of them stayed under the light. So it helps to cut down on maintenance because you won't have plants growing all over the place and you won't find yourself constantly having to prune, but at the same time is going to dramatically reduce the yield. And once they're done producing what they're going to produce, odds are they're just going to die. Just like the dwarf peas, as soon as they produce, they were gone. And these tomato plants are not as vibrant as they once were. They still look pretty good, but once they bear these fruit, that's going to be the end for them. So because they're self-contained, you're not going to get as much as you would normally get in another hydroponic system where the roots are able to go down into the water and expand and grow. But at the same time, they sell pro versions of these pods that don't come with this unit, but I do want to let you know that they do exist, and those do have openings for the roots to get down into the system, and then that will increase the plant's growth and it will increase the plant's yield. So if you don't mind doing a little bit of maintenance with the plants as they grow bigger and bigger, then the pro pods will be the option that you're looking for, because it'll allow those plants to actually spread out and reach their full potential. And Click and Grow also has a companion app that you can download. It doesn't connect to this in any way, not this particular model, but it basically just gives you some tips and some things to look out for along the way according to whatever you decided to plant. You put in all that information, and then over time is going to tell you when you should thin your plants. It'll tell you if you need to help out with the pollination a little bit, and it'll just sort of guide you very, very gingerly along the way. So it's not something that's essential to use this, but if you just want to get some notifications every now and then telling you about the progress of your plants and what you can expect from time to time, then the companion app is worth checking out. Now let's talk about the price. Now the normal price for this Click and Grow Smart Garden 9 is about $230. Although I see that they're doing a summer sale right now where the price has been knocked down to around $179. But at its normal price of $230, I have to say that I think that is, well, it's expensive considering what you're getting in this unit, because it's very simple. There are virtually no electronics in here. We have 9 LED lights that line the top, and they are both daylight balanced, and then they're also red. But that's it. There's no screen on it. There's no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connectivity. There's no water pump. You just have these lights here. And now that's pretty much it. And when you consider the other hydroponic systems that are on the market right now that have those types of features, it makes it harder to justify the price for this one because it doesn't have any of it. And what you're paying for is the convenience of not having to keep up with a maintenance schedule, a nutrition schedule, cleaning up. You don't have to do any of that. And that translates to extra time, which I guess translates to extra money that you have to spend in order to get that time. And I do wish that they would have included a way to at least control the light schedule in this unit, because there's nothing that you can do other than plug it into the wall, and it stays on for specific intervals of time. It's going to be on for 16 hours and then it's going to turn itself off for 8 hours. So in order to get this on the schedule that you want, you're going to have to plug it in at the time that you would not mind the lights coming on, and then that will also ensure that the lights are off during the times that you would prefer to not have the lights on. But if you have a power outage like I did not too long ago, then you have to do that process all over. You have to wake up when you think you want the lights to turn on, and then you unplug the unit and plug it back in, or you just unplug it once the power went out. So you just have to reset the whole thing. Would have been a lot easier if I could just go on the unit and just say, hey, turn off at this time, turn on that other time, so that I don't have to worry about coming down and plugging it in and all that stuff. And I think that that's something that's relatively simple to implement. And since it's not here, and then considering the price of the unit, it is a bummer. I want to at least have that kind of functionality. And even though the only thing that you have to do is just make sure that you keep the reservoir filled with water, I would like something a little bit more visual than just the float. Now the float works and it is effective, but to me, I kind of want to see a water level and not just keep pushing the float down, especially when it comes to strawberries, because I was repeatedly warned by the app to not put too much water in there because the strawberries can be really sensitive and they can get root rot relatively easily. So I just wish that there was a way for me to just look at the water level. Maybe if there was a portion on this reservoir that was clear, that had lines in it, so that you can just kind of fill the water up, and then you would know exactly how much water is in there based on the lines, instead of just kind of relying on the float and thinking, yeah, that seems like it's deep enough. I would like to have gotten that inside of this system just for a little bit of extra reassurance. But at the end of the day, you cannot argue with results, and the Click and Grow Smart Garden 9 has done a phenomenal job of growing the plants that I put inside of here. I've literally had to do nothing besides put water inside of the reservoir. Not once did I add any nutrients, not once did I add any kind of supplement to the water to help them out along the way. Nothing. The only thing that I've ever had to do was I put these large skewers inside to kind of act as anchors to kind of hold the plants up as they grew. And then as the fruit matured and got bigger and heavier, the tomato plant wanted to tip over. So I just got some thin wire to just sort of string it up so that they can stand up straight. And that's not a limitation of a Click and Grow unit. That's something that you'll have to do with just about any hydroponic system, because the tomato plants have trouble standing up under their own weight when they have the fruit hanging from them. So that's the only thing that I had to do, and that's just a plant thing, has nothing to do with the unit. So as far as having a maintenance-free and worry-free way to grow plants indoors, like Click and Grow promised, they delivered on that in spades. So those are my thoughts on the Click and Grow Smart Garden 9. We got some pros, we got some cons, but hey, it is effective. You just have to figure out for yourself what makes most sense for you in your situation. Would you rather have a maintenance-free way to grow plants indoors and spend a little bit more money for that? Or would you rather have the biggest yield and the most potential growth as possible for a lower entry price with another type of system, but you'll have to keep up with the maintenance and the nutrient schedule and doing the trial and error that sometimes comes with growing things indoors? So that's it, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'm Jeremy. Take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you soon.